Hello, I'm AlinaGG and welcome to Inspire Me with AlinaGG. And I have a very, very special guest today. I welcome Ashley from Uplevel Love. Hello.
Hello, Alina. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here today.
Absolute pleasure. And our vibe is already high as we were just tuning into an intention for this call. And it actually brought tears to my eyes, and I can feel my energy shifting as we speak. So I'm going to hand it straight over to you, and please introduce yourself. You're a love and intimacy embodiment coach, and please tell us all about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. And yeah, what we were just speaking into before I go into like an introduction is I love having these conversations because I think it's so important for us to dive deeper into the places that we're challenged with, to some of these like taboo subjects, so that we can really be the best versions of ourselves for ourselves, for our children, and for everybody that we touch in the world. So I know we're coming in with that intention here, and I just want to, thank you for sparking these deep conversations that you do have on this podcast.
Absolute pleasure.
So I'm Ashley J. I am a love and intimacy embodiment guide. And what I do in this work is I work with individuals and couples, and I run women's programs and retreats that delve into whatever's in the way of us really connecting to our relationship with ourselves first and foremost, and healing any trauma, anxiety, stress, stuck patterning in our beings, dysfunctional patterns that we have learned that are keeping us from experiencing the love, connection, and passion that we desire in our lives. And I do that through embodiment work, which is really powerful. Talk therapy is great, but it usually doesn't quite have the transformative quality that combining that with embodiment practices can have. So I'm really super passionate about intimacy, about love, about relating, about being able to feel that internal instinct and intuition that we've often lost, especially for women. We're so powerful. There's so much there, and we've been cut off from it in our culture. So that reawakening of our vital bodies, our beings, our senses can really help us guide us into this more holistic and connected power from within, so that we can navigate our lives from that place. And another really important element of the work that I do is around sexuality. And this is a taboo subject for a lot of people, but it's something that I felt very disconnected from in my life and how I was taught. It's been part of my personal journey. And as I had children and I was raising children and in a marriage that was really kind of stifled and stuck in intimacy and sexuality, I really was hurting in that way, and sad and disappointed in what I was experiencing and what was going on, and what I was therefore like teaching, even unconsciously, to my children about this incredibly vital part of their lives. And so in my own personal journey, I dove into healing my own trauma and pieces in my life that were showing up for me unconsciously. And I wanted to shift and create something really rich. And in that journey of my own awakening, I realized how many people were struggling in the same way as I started to talk deeper to my community, my friends. And it became staggering to me at the depth of pain that so many people were experiencing in this realm. So I dove in deep and I studied it, and I have such deep compassion for individuals and for couples in creating this, and for our children and what they're receiving and knowing. So that's just part of my journey and why I do what I do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I can really feel that the power of that intention. And I think that really filters through everything you do and everything you put out there. An example, we can go straight into it. You have a free masterclass, and it's called From Triggered to Turned On. And the other day I watched that, and it was interesting because I was already feeling in a bit of a triggered space when I started watching it. And I had tears flowing the whole time. It was very powerful. So, let's talk about that. What does that mean, from triggered to turned on?
Well, let me just start by saying that I lived a big majority of my life feeling pretty triggered. I definitely, this period of my life, when I was married and my kids were younger, life felt so overwhelming. And even though I was in this loving relationship and I had a lot that I was super grateful for, I felt very, very, very triggered by almost everything my husband was doing. And so it was really hard for me to create connection, to create a turn on when I was in this like kind of repulsion and triggered state. As I learned and went into my own process, I started to understand that that energy and my triggers was this potent life force energy that was there, that I was just in this reactivity with in life. And that to tap into that potential, that intense energy in the trigger, was actually this vitality that was in me, and that I do have the power to transform and to create and to be with in a different way. Not to say that I never get triggered. I totally get triggered, but I have a deeper understanding of what that energy is and what that power is and how to navigate that energy. And so to turn from triggered to turned on, to transform that, gave me so much energy and knowingness, and being able to take those moments of trigger and be like, this is happening. And then I would build them upon each other, and it would go bigger and bigger and bigger. And then to come into this place of like, wow, I have all this energy and it's really intense. And what is my responsibility in this? What is the experience that I'm desiring to have? And how can I take this and turn it into, not just in sexuality, but turn on in life?
Yeah.
Where can I be in my turn on with what I want to be doing in my life and in my intimacy? So it's because our sexuality, our turn on, our sensuality is a part of every part of life.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good point.
Even
Yeah.
with the kids, like, how can I be, they're doing this and they're doing that, and oh my God, it's like overwhelming. They're in the back seat and they're bitching to each other and they're like, and you're like, oh my God, just get there. How can I create a moment, or in that moment of intensity, to this turned on place of engaging in life rather than just gripping and getting through it?
Yeah, good call. And how can we not just suppress it and deny it and push it down? Because one of my mentors, meditation mentors, she's just passed over a couple of years ago. She's amazing. Kay. She said that there's a trigger there because there's a wound with energy that needs healing, because when you've healed that core wound underneath, then there's just no energy there anymore. The same thing could happen and you just like, okay, and it just doesn't bother you because you've healed that energy underneath. So it's all energy as well. Like when I studied yoga in India, what I learned was that it's like that mud for the lotus roots, right? The roots of the lotus flower. This tantric energy, it's just energy, and it's like, okay, it looks like mud or rubbish or a garbage truck or anger or an unpleasant emotion, but it's just energy. And so if we can find a way to transmute that and healthfully draw that energy up through our system, which there's so many ways in. I've been speaking with people a lot about breath work. That's a big one, isn't it? That's like putting you in your body, connecting straight into your energy and your emotions. And you do some breath work, right?
Oh yeah, it's one of my main tools. Yeah, breathwork's really powerful because you can use it in those like moments, and you can also use it in like a deep breathwork journey to really move you through what you're saying, like not to deny what's there, but to kind of go into it, to be with it and give it expression. And something that I do in embodiment work is learn how to use emotional release tools, so that you're not denying it, you're not pushing it away, you're just actually giving it expression in a healthy way. So for that example, driving with the kids in the backseat, and they're at each other. and you're like trying to manage it, and you're also just feeling this overwhelmed. Something that I would do and learned how to do was just be like this, just to let this growl out, just to be like, and the kids would be like, whoa. And I'd be like, I just need to move some of this energy, guys. This is a lot, and they would be, oh, and it would stop the energy, and I would just move it, and it would give them permission of like how to move their own frustration and angst in a healthy way. And then we'd usually turn into laughing because it was silly. So you take that moment of like overwhelm and disgust and gripping life to like moving the energy, moving the frustration, moving the anger, moving the whatever it is in a healthy way that's not hurting anyone, giving your kids those tools. And then all of a sudden we're all laughing and making growling sounds in the car.
Wow. Yeah.
So those are the moments that you can turn triggered to turned on.
Yeah.
It's not just about sex. It's also about this place in all these moments of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And making sound and giving yourself permission to make sound. That's a big one as well. And breath precedes sound.
Yes.
And that's quite primal. And yeah, and it's, sometimes can be seen as a bit like crazy, but as a mom, you're like, well, yeah, I'm crazy. I own it. That's fine. So let's growl away. So that's a great technique. I'm definitely going to take that. And actually, I feel like I did that the other day, just subconsciously anyway, but now it's great to have that reference point that, hey, this is a technique to help me shift this energy. Yes, that's great. Thank you. Wonderful.
I think that a lot of the things that we deem as crazy in our culture, our rational brain comes in and it puts us in these trauma loops because it stops us from completing the trauma cycle. If you watch nature and the animal world, if they have a traumatic experience, they go into this state of usually freeze to shaking to they do this thing, and then they like release that energy and they move on, and it's like complete. But because our rational brain comes in and we're like, oh, I can't do that thing because that's crazy, then we stay stuck in this trauma loop. And every time this thing comes up, we're just holding this energy in our body. That's why I do embodiment work. And then it builds on each other. So then we have shallow breathing, we have all this tension and angst, and then we experience anxiety, and we experience massive amounts of stress, and then we have all these physical ailments and mental and dis-ease. There's like all these layers because we're not going to be crazy to just make some sounds that are so healthy, or to shake or move our body so that we can release that stuck tension energy that is in that trauma loop or that trigger.
That's next level. That's totally next level, what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I'm going to sit with that for sure.
So we need to give ourselves more permission.
Yes, we do.
More permission to sound, more permission to move, more permission to be our authentic selves and to do what we are meant to do in this human experience, which is to move this energy and not to hold on to it. That really makes us unhealthy if we hold on to it. So, and to learn how to do that in healthy ways, because if we don't do it in healthy ways, then we end up shouting and yelling and fighting and, at the more extreme, like hitting or doing things that are really harmful. So if we can learn how to do and move this energy in a healthy way and get on top of it before it gets to that volcano explode moment, we're doing things that are hurtful and harmful to ourselves or to the people that we love. We need to give ourselves more permission to learn how to do this.
Wow, I feel like the whole world needs to hear this. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So let's pivot a little and talk about self-love and, what does that mean? And it gets bandied about a lot, that term, and it can, I feel like it's become a little bit diluted, but how can we grow and deepen our own love for ourselves? Because hurt people, right? So if you don't, learn to love and accept yourself, and you don't, you're going to hurt other people. So how can we deepen our own love and acceptance for ourselves?
I love this subject, and it's so multi-layered, and I do feel like it's such this commonly used word, self-love. I'm gonna love myself, or I don't know how to love myself. So, to cultivate true self-love, I think is like the first the first thing we need to do in life, on any healing journey, on any of the thing, is to, most of us are so focused on our attention to our partners or our jobs or our kids, and we don't really attune to ourselves. I'm saying this generally.
Oh, that's great.
We don't attune to ourselves. And so self-love to me is attunement with the self.
Wow.
And that goes deeper in, like, to knowing what I'm feeling, what I'm wanting, what I'm experiencing in this moment, to be able to self-locate, to listen, be able to listen to the signals and signs that our body is giving us, and that, like, that intuition hit, those intuition hits that we're having. And beyond that, it's being able to have a relationship, a healthy relationship with our bodies, which is so challenging for most women and men. So challenging. And to be able to teach our children this from an early state of having a really healthy, loving relationship with our bodies, whatever state that they're in. Whatever, we think we're always looking for this ideal, blah, blah, blah. But developing a healthy, loving relationship with our bodies is a huge part of self-love, because when we can listen, feel, love, appreciate, and honor our bodies, our temple, then that's a huge step in self-love. And that takes a lot of attunement. But when we do, like, I have such deep respect for my body. And most of my life I was like, I'm too this and I'm not that, and blah, 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 and just like beating myself up, even though I, like, I was grateful for my body, but there was just all that constant thing happening. So to be able to attune to our bodies and have a healthy relationship is deep self-love. And then to look at the choices that we've made, because often we don't have self-love because we don't like what we've done in the past. And to be able to look at ourselves and go, wow, I made those decisions from where I was at that time, knowing what I knew at that time, the best, even though it may not have been the best thing, to be able to have compassion for why we did the things that we did. And to know that that was all part of our learning journey. It doesn't necessarily make it okay that thing happened either to us or that we did, but that we aren't staying stuck in that place. So to have that self-acceptance, self-forgiveness for ourselves and others, just creates that deeper realm of love for ourselves. Like, wow, that was a hard place to be in. And I did the best that I could do. Whew, that was rough. And I'm sorry that I had to experience that, or that I did experience that, or that was done to me. And I know that does not define me.
Mm.
And so when we come from that place of, like, whatever happened to us or we did, it doesn't define who we are. And when we stop attaching to something to make it define us, that is a deep act of self-love. And it's often doing deeper work, and breath work is a great portal to access that.
Mm. Do you do that pono thing? How do you say that? That please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Yeah. So sorry. How do you say it again?
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah. Cool.
So ho'oponopono is a really deep practice that I want to, culturally speaking, it would not be appropriate for me to say, yes, I do ho'oponopono and I'm a teacher of this. However, like, culturally, I have deep respect for the Hawaiian culture, and it's not something that to do it properly needs to be done in that kind of context. However, do I have many of the principles from that practice? Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you, which there's lots of different elements to this, is an incredibly powerful self-love practice, and for any kind of situation that we get ourselves into. So there's components of that yes, I absolutely use and connect to, but I would not call it ho'oponopono. I want to give full due respect to that practice.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, and let me just speak into that a little deeper, because it is super powerful. So when we have something happen and we want to be in right relation, pono means to be, make right, is thank you that this situation happened, that I'm able to see and learn from it. So it's having gratitude for something that we most likely are not happy about. That brings that energy of what's possible here. I'm sorry, like I see that I take personal responsibility for the part that I played in this. I'm sorry. And please forgive me. Like I'm ready to release. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to move through this. And I love you brings me back into the state of loving relationship with self, with other person. So yeah, quick synopsis on that.
Thank you. Wow. So you work with couples as well as individuals, men and women and couples. I'm really curious to what type of work do you do with couples, and how do you get them to deepen their intimacy and passion in their relationship?
I love working with couples. And I work with couples mostly in the realm of intimacy, building intimacy. And that's a big realm, right? Intimacy. So how I do that is I bring couples into a place of dropping them into the journey of their relationship to see it from the beginning to where it is now and what they've experienced and learned. Like that's where I always start with. And then I bring them into practices that are from many different lineages. I use some Tantra, I use all these embodiment practices. Some I've really created on my own from all the trainings that I've had. And so I bring couples into being able to see each other at a deeper level. And most couples, even if they've been together 20 years, have never taken time to really look each other in the eyes, have never taken time to breathe together, just to synchronize their breaths, have never taken time to just hold each other and feel each other as they breathe. Most of these things are completely non-sexual, and they just open these portals of both being able to be seen and seen, which can be terrifying for people. So I do it with a lot of love and a lot of compassion and just titrating it to where people are at. But also to like, what's really there? Because people get so wrapped up in the stories and the things in the past and whatever's happening, the details of life, that the work that I do allows them to kind of step back from that, go deeper underneath what's there, and to open into what's possible. And through that avenue, we can start to address, what's happening with communication. How are they communicating with each other as well in these spaces? Like it really opens that. What is it that they truly desire? What's in the way? What do they love about each other? And so I just open these avenues for communication, and then we start to really go into like what's present, what's in the way in their sexuality, and how can they build and develop that in a really healthy and like up-leveled way. I think that most couples struggle and suffer with a lack of intimacy and sexuality. And it's really sad. And I think that if we are able to transform this, I think there's so much to heal around sexuality and in the world. We have such a deep dysfunction with that we can create so much more love and connection, and that we can teach this to our children. So I think it's really important.
Wow, that's beautiful. So have you seen some really amazing shifts in the couples you've worked with?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yes. I have to say, like 100%. Like I've never had a couple go through it and be like, nah. Yeah. It's really profound, and it's fun. It's not, yes, part of it's hard and it depends on the person. Sometimes just doing a little eye contact, they'll just start to cry. Mostly the men, it's interesting. We'll just like, oh, and to to see the love that like blossoms there, and then to see the fun and the playfulness, because a lot of what I do is like bringing out the play too. We get so serious in our lives and there's so much detail and we get overwhelmed, and it's like we are playful beings too. And so to evoke that into the day-to-day is just brings so much more connection and ease and joy, and to be able to go into the deep places with each other and have the harder conversations in a way that's effective and connective.
Yeah. So let's just say, okay, obviously it takes two people wanting to go there, right? Step one.
Yeah.
Step two, it's easy to feel intimate and connected when, you're in a great space, things are going well, you're on holiday, blah, blah, blah. And then what about if, one person has a trigger or something coming up for healing, or one person, withdraws or their heart closes a little bit? How does the other person keep their heart open to the other person, but still honor themselves in that?
Yeah, we have to honor ourselves first and foremost. If we're in a triggered state, we can't have like rational, good conversation and connection. It's just not possible. So that's why it's like our relationship with ourselves is first and foremost. If yes, there's so many dynamics in relationships that like one person's, wanting to do the work, one person's not, or one person's feeling triggered. So being able to regulate our state of being, if you have a partner that's triggered, that is having a really hard time, it's like you're not responsible for them and healing them. And there's still this place of, how can I best support you right now? How would you like my support right now? Because we often like just dive in and try to fix somebody and try to, give them the advice that they need or tell them how they should feel, or we get irritated or whatever it is. And sometimes it's just like, I see you're having a really big experience. How can I support you right now? And if they're like, I don't even know, I can't, like, just leave me alone, or they're like bitter, it's like, okay, how not to take it personally, and how to just give space to both of you so that you can stay good and healthy and feel good. And it's like, when you're ready to talk and share with me, if you'd like to, I'll be available for you, if I can be, and to really take that autonomy in that space to be mature and how we show up emotionally to the dynamics in our relationship. And that takes a lot of learning for most people. It does. And to hold that space of like love and compassion with, if there's always that level of like, if you're being attacked, if you're being like emotionally, then we have to create a strong boundary. We have to know our boundaries and hold them. This has been one of the biggest challenges in my life, is holding strong, loving boundaries. And a boundary isn't a wall. A boundary is like, stay away. A boundary is like, this is what is healthy for me, and this is what is not healthy for me. And I'm not willing to compromise what's not healthy for me in the name of love. Because that's not love, that is dysfunction. I can love you and say, this is my boundary. I'm not willing to be here anymore because you've crossed my boundary too many times, and you're not wanting to learn or understand how to do something different. That's a hard one. But to set those really clear boundaries really gives our partners the invitation to heal and grow. One of the worst things that we can do in partnership is take responsibility and try to fix or shift something in somebody's, or coddle or protect them, because it takes away their opportunity to learn and grow. And it puts all of that on us, which is it's not a healthy dynamic. It creates codependency, something I'm very familiar with in my life as well. And
yeah. Do you think women do that naturally, like as nurturers?
I think we have been conditioned in our culture to overgive and to feel like if we're giving to ourselves and doing any self-care, that's selfish. So we have been conditioned to be martyrs.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the problem with that dynamic is it builds resentment.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am well versed in, that was definitely part of my journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so, okay. So the flip side of that is owning your own feelings and emotions and each doing the work and then coming together and being open and ready and available to connect in an intimate, loving, kind way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great when you can start a relationship or reboot a relationship and come in with that conscious intention and that awareness.
Conscious coupling. It's a whole new thing. The conscious uncoupling, that's amazing. Yeah. Conscious coupling is a whole new thing too.
I've just been through both.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that a lot of what I see in couples is that they want that, but they don't know how to get there. You know, they want to, maybe both of them want to grow and meet each other, but they don't know exactly how to do it, because most of us have not been modeled healthy relationships in our lives, even if our parents were together their entire lives or what have you. Most of us have been modeled dysfunctional ways of relating to each other, so they don't know how to have that. And then the other thing I see a lot of is one partner wants to grow and like do the work and the other partner doesn't, and that creates a really difficult situation as well. Often what I've found in relationship is that if we really state what we want and desire, and we bring something to our partner in that way of going, I want to know what's possible in our intimacy. I want to know what's possible in the way that we can play and connect. I want to know, so like, this is what I'm wanting. And this is the avenue that I'm going to go to explore this, or to heal, or to be with myself. And, are you willing to come on this journey with me? To like present it to them that way. Like, I really want us to be a powerful, strong couple. I want us to share deeper with each other. I want to know what's possible in this love that we have. Then most partners are more available for that. If instead of you go, you never do this, and I want you to do, it's just like, it doesn't, or if you're always trying to read this, listen to this podcast, it doesn't come from that desire. And it's like, okay. And sometimes it has to have that boundary. Okay, this is what I desire for us to grow and for us to shift these patterns. And I've been saying this for a long time, and nothing's really changed. And so I'm going to give us 6 months, or I'm going to give this a year. And if at this time next year, if the shifts we haven't, both of us, taken initiative to cultivate changes in our relationship, then I'm going to reevaluate whether I want to be in this relationship. And it's not so much a threat as it is like, this is a boundary. Like, this is what I desire. And we're staying stuck in this pattern that is not healthy for either of us. And so giving it a container, a boundary of like this amount of time, if you've been saying the same thing over and over and nothing's like changing, then it can be that encouragement that the partner needs. And you can say, however you want to do this, you can find your own way. Like, my way may not be your way, but the way that we're communicating, or the way that is really unhealthy and it's causing a lot of pain, and it needs to change for me to feel good to stay in this relationship. And I know that I'm part of it. And so I'm going to do my work. And I really desire for us to both do it together and to grow together. Or I fear that we're going to really just stay in this stuck, painful place, or we're going to resent each other or hate each other, or, break up, or whatever the things are.
Wow.
So if we come from that place, that powerful statement of like, what is real, what I'm desiring, rather than the,
So that's
taking
owning
myself.
your truth and owning your needs and wants and desires, really. That
Yeah.
takes courage to step into that and be
Yeah.
vulnerable and speak your heart's truth, because that can be scary, because sometimes when we speak our truth about something, we fear that they might just run for the hills or something. And the irony is, when we're vulnerable, and this has happened to me recently, where I've said something to my partner and I thought, oh, it might, you just feel like, oh, and then it brings you closer together. It gains more respect, more love, more connection, because you were willing to just be really authentic and open and vulnerable and speak your truth. So there's power in that.
Truth is the most potent medicine that we can give ourselves and our partners in this life. Like, it's hard. Yeah, it can be challenging. And we often kind of shift the truth to like placate or see if we can. And it's really important to know how to speak your truth in a way that can be received. Absolutely. And to even know what your truth is. Most people I talk to, women in particular, have no idea what their real truth is. And they don't know what they really want. It's like such a disconnection. But when we can speak, when we can know our truth and we can speak that, then we get to create the life that we desire. And it's not always going to be easy. But
Yeah.
when we're not speaking our truth, we're not living our truth. And so we are living in a lie. And that is painful. And that creates massive dysfunction in the world.
Yeah. That is so true. So in terms of support, let's talk about the sisterhood and brotherhood, and how and why that's important, and how people can start to bring that into their lives more.
Yeah, well, I think for women, I feel like we have a lot more support and permission to get support in general. And because there's women's circles, and I think the narrative is changing for women, and being, not enough, and the cattiness and the competition, it still exists, believe me. But there's a change, a shift that's happening, I think, in the narrative of women. And it's doing the work that I do. I think it's so empowering, and so many people, it's so empowering. And I think men are, for the masculine, I think that's starting to shift and change as well. I think that there is more available for them, and there's more men doing men's work, which is so incredible. I work with a lot of men, and when I work with them, I think it's so valuable. And I always usually recommend another male practitioner to work with them as well. And I work with a man as well. So I think it's really nice to have that balance. Often I find men feel so alone in this world. And even if they have friends, they don't share deeply with them. And so that can be a real hard thing in a relationship, because the woman, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, can be their therapist, their best friend, they're like all the things. And it can be a lot for that feminine role, whatever, even in same sex, there's usually somebody who can play that role, the more feminine. And it's just a lot to hold and be all of that. And it's also a lot for the men who feel so alone. And this happens for women as well, who don't have a support system, or who aren't seeking support. I think having, therapy, or working with somebody like myself is so imperative. Like, even in my journey, like, I get support. I have prioritized that. I hold space for a lot of people. I need someone to hold space for me. And it's not my partner. Like, it's great when, I can bring that to my partner, but I know that I don't want to lay everything on them. It's unhealthy to have that. And it kills desire. Absolutely kills desire and passion if we're just bringing everything to our partner all the time. So I think it's really important to have external support as well, in our communities and personally.
Absolutely. Well said. And so do you have a coach yourself, or who do you who hold space for
Yeah.
you?
I
Okay.
work with different people, and I definitely have a support system for myself. And sometimes it varies to like what's going on, what's alive. in my life right now. So yeah.
Beautiful.
And I have an incredible community. Like my community is just, I feel very blessed to really kind of cleared out some of the people in my life, not like about it, but just like, who do I really want to spend time with? Who is gonna elevate me, inspire me? And I'm gonna, where is there going to be that like really incredible exchange, and really focused on building those relationships and friendships. So that's the community I have now.
That's so intentional. I love that. Who does inspire you?
Oh my gosh, so many people. Mostly people that you don't even know. I would say names because they're in my personal community. But on the bigger scope, oh my gosh, I love, Brene Brown, and definitely have been a fan of Oprah and everything that she shares, and Estelle Perel and Layla Martin. Like, these are all like part of my David Data, some of the work that he shares. I could just go on and on, but I'm inspired by a lot of people, and there are so many inspiring people and inspiring things in this world. And there's a lot of craziness, and I don't know if I can swear on here. I'm like, stuff things as well. So I like to focus on like what is inspiring and what is giving me tangible, incredible pieces to work with in my own life.
Beautiful. Well, how can people find you and work with you, Ashley?
So you can find me on the social web on Uplevel Love. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that. I'm not super present on TikTok and all that, but on Instagram for sure, on Uplevel Love. And then my website is uplevellove.com. And I work with individuals, couples. I do intimacy upgrades for couples, which are really fun, just 3 sessions, super transformative. And then I do group programs for women and retreats for women as well. So look me up if this resonates and you want some loving support. I'd love to support you.
Thank you. And did you just have a retreat recently? Did you?
I have one coming up. I'm moving it right now to November.
Oh, great. November. Okay.
It's coming up.
Exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm going to listen to this a million times because I got so much out of it. And I really feel it's very powerful and strong and much needed, the work that you're doing right now. So thank you for being you and showing up and walking your talk.
Thank you so much for having me, and blessings to you and everyone who has been on here and listening today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.